Let's start with a simple, powerful truth that connects every single one of us. We are all temporary, we will all depart this life. But, and this is the important part, the story doesn't end there. The legacy, that trace we leave behind, that's what remains. And that's the real question, isn't it? We tend to think our life is just the sum of what we do while we're here. But what if our influence, our impact, keeps rippling out long, long after we're gone? To really get our heads around this, we need to explore this really powerful idea. Let's call it your life's lasting echo. There's actually a specific term for this in Arabic, al-athar. It literally means the trace, the impact, or the footprint you leave on the world. It's this idea that everything you do, every action, every word, even your unspoken intentions, leaves a kind of echo that just keeps on resonating. And the source material grounds this in a really specific verse. It says that two things are being recorded. First, what you actively do, what it calls what they have put forth. And second, the lingering effects of those actions, what they left behind. The key takeaway here is that both are part of your story, the action and the reaction. And this story from the source just illustrates the point perfectly. There was this tribe that lived pretty far from the mosque, and they wanted to move closer to make things easier. But the Prophet Muhammad actually advised them against it. And you might ask, why? Well, it was because every single footstep they took on that long walk was being written down as a good deed. The effort itself was becoming part of their legacy, their athar. So if every single action leaves a trace, it kind of follows that these traces can lead down two very, very different paths. You've got what you could call a generative legacy. That's the good you put into the world that just keeps on giving. A great way to think of it is like planting a tree. Its shade and fruit will benefit people you'll never even meet. But then, on the other hand, there's the destructive legacy. And that's like starting a fire that continues to spread and cause damage long after you've walked away. So what's the ultimate example of a positive legacy? Well, the source points us to the prophet Abraham. He actually prayed for a reputation of truth among future generations. And think about it. Today, literally billions of people across different faiths honor his name every single day, thousands of years later. I mean, talk about a prayer being answered. His generative legacy is just, wow, it's almost unparalleled. But for the destructive path, the source gives us a really stark example. Cain, the first son of Adam. According to Islamic tradition, because he was the very first person to commit murder, he carries a share of the burden for every unjust killing that came after him. He set a terrible precedent, a horrible athar that continues to echo through time. Okay, so this brings up a really crucial question. How can we consciously build a legacy that's generative? A legacy of good that actually continues to grow on its own. So, how do you do that? Well, the source material points to a really famous tradition that boils it down to a few key areas. Just 3, in fact, where your good deeds can literally keep working for you, generating rewards long after you're gone. And here they are. First, ongoing charity, something like building a well that people keep using. Second, beneficial knowledge that you share, that people keep learning from and passing on. And third, a righteous child who carries your values forward and prays for you. You see the connection, right? They are all self-perpetuating acts of good. They have a ripple effect built right in. The source then actually expands on this, giving us a more detailed list of 7 powerful actions. We see some of the same ideas here, right? Spreading knowledge, raising a child, but it adds these other dimensions, like building community spaces, a mosque, a home for travelers, and even providing essential infrastructure, like a well or a river. But the core theme is the same. It's all about creating things that serve and sustain other people long after you're gone. Now this is where a concept from over 1,000 years ago becomes unbelievably relevant to our lives right this second. Let's talk about your digital afterlife. I mean, all this talk about a lasting trace or athar, it takes on a completely new meaning in the 21st century, doesn't it? What about the footprint we are all leaving online every single day? So here's the bottom line. Every single post, every share, every comment becomes part of your author. It's a permanent digital trace. And the source is really emphatic about this, warning that you are accountable for all of it, the good and the bad. Whether it's verified truth that helps people or misinformation that causes harm, that digital echo is real, and it's yours. So, if our legacy is built action by action, how is it all judged in the end? Well, the source shares this profound story about the testimony of the community. So, the story goes like this. Two funeral processions passed by the Prophet Muhammad. For the first one, the people who were there spoke really well of the person who had died. The Prophet listened and said, "It is decreed." Then a little later, a second procession passed by, and this time the people spoke ill of that person. And again, the Prophet simply said, "It is decreed." Of course, his companions were confused. They asked, "What was decreed?" And his answer is so powerful. He explained that the person everyone praised has earned paradise, and the one they condemned has earned hellfire. Why? Because, and this is the key line, you are God's witnesses on earth. Your reputation among good people is the ultimate testimony to the life you lived. And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of our whole explainer, taking all of this and actually applying it to our own lives. It's about consciously, deliberately crafting your own story. The poet Ahmed Shawki, who's quoted in the source, put it so beautifully. The memory of a person is a second life. The way people remember you, that athar you leave behind, it's literally a form of existence that continues on. And I just love this metaphor from the source because it drives the point home so well. Building a good legacy, a positive athar, it's not a quick thing. It's not easy. It takes a whole lifetime of consistent effort, of planting good seeds day in and day out. But just like an olive tree, once it's established, it is strong and it endures for a very, very long time. And so, we end right back where we started. You will depart, we all will, but your echo, your trace, your athar, that will remain. The source leaves us with this one final thought. One day, people will look at the space you occupied in this world, and they will say, someone passed through here, and this is their legacy. So the only question left for us to answer is, what will yours be?